Yep.
And so in that sense, we will kind of, so this is why I'm asking that question. It leads back to drugs.
Yes.
This drug war we have now, things that kind of started the addiction here in America was, big pharma. On top of that, then you see what's happening in South America right now. Now we're finally stopping, or at least slowing down the traffic. For some reason, it was wide open for 4 years. Is some of that decision making, in your opinion, based just on your expertise, was some of that kind of making almost having to make a choice in how to kind of facilitate relationships to either better the country or improve something?
That's a great question. And that is exactly the kind of question that is going to have to be decided in these National Security Council meetings. So listen, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So you're going to have to choose a policy that is going to be the lesser of the two evils. On the one hand, well, you sort of open the border because, these poor refugees, they're searching for a better life. And 100 years of American foreign policy have completely fucked up their countries. And so it's our fault. So we should, let them in and they can apply as refugees, even if that means it's easier for fentanyl to cross the border and kill people across the United States. Or on the other hand, you can use a heavier hand and close the border and declare something of a war on drugs, to use Ronald Reagan's phrase, and declare the cartels to be terrorist organizations. And, that's not, I wanted to talk about that as well. That's not just rhetoric to call the cartels terrorist organizations. There's a lot behind that policy-wise. So which one's the lesser of two evils? I think the lesser of two evils is to close the border, right? You've got to have control of your country. I'll give you another example. I'm a Greek American, and in 2010, I even got my Greek citizenship. So I'm a dual U.S. Greek citizen. And Greece has a problem with refugees or illegal aliens. And almost all of them come either by boat from Turkey or across the land border with Turkey. Now, the European Union has given the Turks billions of dollars to set up refugee centers in Turkey and keep the refugees in Turkey, right? The EU is paying for it. But what the Turks do is they take the money, they put it in their pockets, and then they push all those refugees across the border into Greece. I went to Rhodes, the island of Rhodes, a year ago. My cousin's a DJ there. It's 3:00 in the morning. We're standing outside his nightclub, which is right on the beach in the island of Rhodes. And as I'm standing there talking to him, this raft floats up with 12 Syrians in it. And they had just been pushed out from Turkey. So we had to call the cops, and the cops came and gave them sandwiches and took them to the police station and locked them up. Well, what the Greeks did, besides putting more Coast Guard boats out to intercept these boats, is they built a wall on the land border. The land border is not much. It's a couple of 100 miles, but they built a wall, and the wall completely stopped people from crossing the land border. So then you can focus on the sea. The Turks lost their minds. They were so angry that the Greeks had built this wall, and they actually put tanks on the border as if they were going to blast the wall. They never did. But the fact of the matter is, whether you like the idea of a wall or not, it worked. It closed the border. It sealed the border. So, we can all make fun of the wall. The Mexicans are going to pay for it. You just dig a hole under the wall or whatever. Okay, fine. But make it hard. Don't make their job of sending fentanyl to the United States easy. Make it hard. Can I take a minute to talk about the policy of declaring the cartels I
wanted to ask about that. You said you wanted to touch on that. Let's do that.
Yeah, there was a lot more behind this than meets the eye. I saw so many op-eds and comments that when Donald Trump said that the State Department was declaring the cartels to be terrorist organizations, people are like, "Oh, that's so stupid. They're not really terrorist organizations." Like, he didn't didn't do it to like scare people. He didn't do it to act like a tough guy. He did it because from a policy perspective, it changes the playing field. We have laws in this country saying that if the Secretary of State deems an organization to be a terrorist group, it, number one, releases an untapped budget to address that terrorist group. But number two, it makes it legal under U.S. law to work in foreign territory, whether the Mexicans like it or not. It's legal according to U.S. law to send troops across the border. It's not an act of war. And it makes the leaders of the cartel liable for arrest under U.S. law. So it makes it legal then for the U.S. to send in teams to kidnap members or leaders of the cartel and to bring them back to the United States for trial without having to go through the extradition process. So there's a lot behind this. I thought it was a good move.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. You thought it was a good move?
I did, yeah.
So this opens up the military. Does this open up, does anyone else qualify for that? That mean the CIA is allowed to do the work as well?
Yeah, and DEA.
And DEA. So they can cross the border off to all they want, whether the president likes it or not. If it's a justifiable mission, they're allowed to do it.
Yes, whether the Mexicans like it or not. See, before this declaration that the Trump administration made last month, we have to liaise with the Mexicans, and and I've heard that the federal police are great and everybody else is corrupt, whatever. We'd have to liaise with them. We give them money, we give them weapons, we give them training. Then they try to catch somebody and then they arrest them. And then there's this year-long court process where we have to apply for extradition, and maybe we get it, maybe we don't. That's all moot now. Now we just go in and grab them.
So I had a couple interviews prior to this talking about there's potential CIA and also covert operations that has probably happened recently in Mexico before the designation. Is that something you believe has happened throughout the years?
Yeah. When I joined the CIA, the operating directives were vastly different than they were when I left the CIA.